Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganadrita Shri Vishakhan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद् स्वामी नामिने विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष पाश्चात्य मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं हरि ओम तत्सत् हरे कृष्ण वेलकमिंग ऑल ऑफ यू belated happy Rama Navami. Hope you all had a wonderful festive celebration yesterday. Supreme Personality of Godhead, one of his most attractive forms, Sri Ramchandra, the perfection of beauty, the perfection of the ideal character, Maryada Purushottam. So, very wonderful. Hope you have heard a lot of Rama Katha and nourished your heart. Like they say, Ram is the soul of the nation of Bharatvarsha. That is the ideal for all of us to follow. So Krishna is supreme, Ram is supreme. They are the same personality in different forms. Of course, Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead, but they are still the same person. One is famous as Maryada Purushottam, the Lord who by his own sweet will decides to demonstrate the perfection of character to be followed by the residents of earth. And Krishna is Purna Purushottam. He is displaying his original eternal pastimes. So, Ramayana is so replete with not just the sweet pastimes of Ramachandra, Sita Devi, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrugna, Hanumanji, all extraordinary characters, Dashrath Maharaj, the three mothers, Kaushalya, Kaikeyi, Sumitra, but also so many other great devotees. Whether it is Vibhishan, whether it is Sugriva, whether it is Jatayu, and so on, so Shabari, so on and so forth. So wonderful, so wonderful. Ramayana is indeed a encyclopedia of spiritual wisdom and spiritual rasa. So our humble obeisances to Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, and we seek their grace on this divine occasion. Tomorrow is also a very auspicious day. Tomorrow is Kamada Ekadashi, and it's also the Vyas Puja celebration of Srila Jayapatra Maharaj. So we are sandwiched between two auspicious occasions. Today is also auspicious. It's auspicious because we have gotten together to discuss the Srimad Bhagavatam. So whatever day is, devotees get together and discuss Bhagavatam is auspicious. That was the definition given by Gaur Govinda Maharaj. What day is a bad day? Say Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj would say that day is a bad day when I have not sat down and read and discussed the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is definition. Not bad weather, not petrol prices are going up. All that okay, and all that at a material level. Correct? Because with every rising and setting of the sun, every living being is coming closer and closer to death. So what is a wasted day? That day which is not spent, where the time is not spent to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Ramachandra, Sri Krishna Chandra, Gaurachandra, not Gaurachandra Dasa, Gaurachandra, and their divine associates. So thank you. We are continuing our discussion on the 9th canto, and we are discussing chapter 7. So the 9th canto is the discussion of the descendants of Vaivasvata Manu. We have discussed quite a few topics of the descendants, and we are at that juncture where we are discussing the descendants of King Mandhata. When we concluded the previous chapter, we were discussing about Saubhari Muni's pastimes. Now, you may be wondering how Saubhari Muni came into the descendants of King Mandhata. Anyone knows how he appeared suddenly out of into the scene when he is a sage, he is a Brahmana, he is not even a king. How did his story suddenly come in? Anyone who has listened attentively to the class? Huh? 1, 2, 3. No one. So Saubhari Muni came into the picture because Saubhari Muni was meditating in Yamuna, and the king of Mathura at that time, Mandhata, he had 100 daughters, right? And he went and married the daughters of King Mandhata. So the discussion of the daughters started first. So now we are discussing the other descendants of Mandhata. So in this particular chapter specifically, the histories of a few kings are given. Quite a few are listed, like we discussed in previous chapters, but a few prominent ones, their pastimes are discussed. For example, King Purukutsa, who's one of the sons of Mandhata, Harishchandra, who's one of the descendants of Mandhata, and then also a bit about Rohita. We will discuss a bit about that as well. So, of course, the most prominent son of Mandhata is Ambarish Maharaj, and which we discussed already as a part of the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. So that we will not go into. One of the sons of Maharaj Ambarisha was Yauvanashva. Now, actually, Yauvanashva was named after his grandfather, Yuvanashva. And this Yauvanashva had a son by the name as Haritha. So, the dynasty of Mandhata, Ambarish is there, Haritha is there, Yauvanashva. These are the very prominent names, as what Shukadev Goswami explains. One of the descendants in this line was a king known as Purukutsa. It's not very explicitly mentioned Purukutsa is whose son, but he seems to be, sorry, it is not mentioned here in this shloka, but Purukutsa is one of the sons of Mandhata. So, a specific point is mentioned about Purukutsa, this particular King Purukutsa, one of the sons of Ambarish Maharaj, one of the sons of Mandhata, my mistake. Ambarish is one of the sons of Mandhata. Purukutsa is one of the sons of Mandhata. So Purukutsa married a very interesting personality. He married a lady by the name of Narmada. Now this Narmada was from the Naga descendants. You remember the Nagas are the descendants of from Kadru, from the Kashyapa. Kashyapa Muni's wife Kadru gave birth to the serpents. So she was the sister of the serpents. Serpents means not ordinary snakes, the serpents of the Nagaloka, those who are residing in Rasatala, Vasuki and others. So after she married him, she was very keen to take her husband to her Maika, to her mother's place, to her father's place. So she took him, Purukutsa, and took him to the lower region. Purukutsa wasn't very keen, but somehow the wife induced the husband, let us go. And somehow she convinced him. At that time, apparently, the Nagas were struggling with a group of Gandharvas in a fight. And the Nagas requested Purukutsa to help them to fight this group of Gandharvas. Even though the story is not explained in this particular chapter, what that issue was, what that conflict was, but what the Bhagavatam says though here is that the Gandharvas deserved to be punished. Which means they had done some mischief, they had done some wrong. So Purukutsa was so powerful and he was empowered, the Bhagavatam says, by the power of Lord Vishnu. He was able to kill all these mischievous Gandharvas. And the Nagas were so happy, the residents of Rasatala, they were so happy that they actually gave a special blessing to Narmada and her husband to say that this history, this story of Narmada bringing King Purukutsa to the Rasatala to help the Nagas fight with the Gandharvas, whoever will remember this story, they will be assured that they will never be in danger from snakes. Very interesting. So, of course, we always want to remember Krishna, but this is an additional special benediction which the Nagas have given. Anybody who's in danger from the Nagas, any Nagas, or any serpents for that matter, if they remember this story of how Purukutsa was brought to Rasatal by Narmada and how he helped the Nagas, then he will be safe from the attack of any snakes. So that is a brief reference to Purukutsa. So Purukutsa's descendants have been mentioned. His descendant is Anaranya. Anaranya gave birth to Haryashva. Haryashva gave birth to Praruna. Praruna gave birth to Tribandhana. So this dynasty is mentioned in this particular way from Tribandhana, Satyavrata. Satyavrata is a very interesting personality. Again, a little bit information is given about this descendant, Satyavrata. This Satyavrata is more popular, this king Satyavrata. This is not the Satyavrata of the other pastimes, so not to be confused. This Satyavrata king was also famous by the name Trishanku. Now I'm sure many of you have heard from the story of Trishanku. So briefly, the Bhagavad mentions the story of Trishanku. So the pastime is something like this. This king, we'll call him Satyavrata for now because he's not yet got the name Trishanku. This particular person, he made a mistake. Once he got very attracted to a particular girl. Now that girl was a Brahmana's daughter. And he was so attracted to this Brahmana's daughter that he wanted to marry her. It was the day of that daughter of the Brahmana who was getting married. She was in the marriage ceremony. And this Satyavrata was so brazen that he actually kidnapped her from the marriage mandap. And the Brahman father, he was so antagonized. Generally, in traditional Vedic culture, a man marries his own varna. for compatibility issues in terms of the modes and also family background. Not that it is sinful, but that is the general consideration. So generally a Kshatriya doesn't marry a Brahmana, that's one thing. Of course, there are some special exceptions, but generally. Not just that, he kidnapped her. So Brahmana was so angry, he cursed Satyavrat that you will fall down from your position of a Kshatriya and become a Chandala. Chandala is lower than Shudra. Shudra is at least following the Vedic system. Chandala means a totally unclean person, doesn't follow any Vedic rules and regulations. So this guy was so scared and upset that he ran to their Kulaguru, Vishwamitra Muni. He went to Vishwamitra Muni and said, please help me. I have become I've been cursed like this now. Normally, as a Kshatriya, I can perform yajnas and go to heaven. Now, how will I go to heaven? You have to help me. So, Vishwamitra says, how to send you to heaven? It's not possible. Then he says, oh yeah, I went to Vashishta also. He also said it is not possible. Oh, Vashishta said not possible? Don't worry, I will do. Vashishta and Vishwamitra were big enemies. So, they were always trying to outdo each other. There's a detailed history around that. I don't have time today to discuss, but if later we get some time, I will go into that history between Vashishta and Vishwamitra. Both great sages, but Vashishta had a very interesting background. Of course, Vishwamitra had a very interesting background. He was a king. He was a Kshatriya who became a Brahmana by performance of austerities and sadhana. Vashishta was a born Brahmana, Maharishi. Vishwamitra slowly from a Kshatriya came to Brahmana. He became a Brahmana. He became a Raja Rishi first, then. Of course, eventually they became good friends. By the time Lord Ramchandra appeared, they were already good friends. But this time there was a lot of conflict going on between them. So Vishwamitra tells Satyavrat, I will help you. Vashishta cannot do. You come to me. I will give you what you want. What do you want? You want to go to heaven? But it was not possible to send him to heaven through the normal means. So what was decided was Vishwamitra started performing a yajna, and through the means of the yajna mantras, Vishwamitra was so powerful, he was trying to push Satyavrat in his human body into the heavenly planets. So through mantras, he was elevating him towards the heaven. And the devatas, they became shocked. Hey, what are you doing? This is not the system. You cannot just sit in a spaceship and come into heaven. No. You need to perform the right pious activities. Then after you die, we have our own system of transportation. This is not how it is done. So Indra and Vishwamitra got into conflict over this thing. He was being raised up towards heaven. And Indra was using his power to push Satyavrat down. Up, down. Finally, when both of their powers came into equilibrium, King Satyavrata was hanging midway between heaven and earth, upside down. So that position is known as Trishanku. Shanku means like stuck in the middle, either in the heaven or on earth. So the Bhagavatam says, he didn't fall back to the earth, but he couldn't even go to the heaven. But Vishwamitra created a situation for him, heaven-like, wherever he was hanging in the middle through his yoga powers, and he settled the matter there. But the Bhagavatam says, even today he can be seen hanging in the sky, head downwards. I haven't seen him, but if you want, you can do some more research where in the sky Trishanku is heading, in case you are very keen to see him. I do not know which celestial body is considered Trishanku. I don't know on top of my head. Probably we need to research. So this Trishanku's pastime is very, very famous. And oftentimes, amongst the Vedic community, when somebody is stuck in the middle, neither here nor there, his position is said to be Trishanku. So, sadhakas in spiritual life are often in a Trishanku situation. What is Trishanku situation? That they don't have taste for material life, but they don't have sufficient taste in spiritual life. So they can neither go fully to matter, nor do they have enough taste in spiritual life that they can relish the bliss of spiritual life. Because until one comes to ruchi, that deep taste which will nourish the heart, doesn't manifest. So we have to quickly come out of the Trishanku position, because that is the position of danger. Then we will fall down if we do not go into the higher stage of developing deep faith and deep taste. So the Bhagavatam continues. It says, this Trishanku, Satyavrat Maharaj, who became famous as Trishanku, his son was the famous king Harish Chandra. Now this Maharaj Harish Chandra is also very, very famous. And the Bhagavatam mentions it was because of this Harish Chandra that there was another conflict between Vishwamitra and Vashishta, and they were both fighting with each other. So that's a very interesting episode where both Vishwamitra and Vashishta were actually fighting with each other, and both are fighting with each other in the form of birds. There have been many conflicts between Vashishta and Vishwamitra. This is referring to one conflict. There has been another conflict prior to this where they've actually fought with each other with bows and divyastras. So, even for those who have attained great tapasya and great knowledge, if one has not fully overcome the false ego, then all these things happen. Even for great souls. Unless one has transcended the influence of Maya, Trigudamayi Esha Mama Maya Duratya Mam Eva Ye Prapadanti, unless one has taken shelter of the spirits. Eventually, by association of Ramchandra, both Vashishta and Vishwamitra achieved perfection. Now they are pure devotees. But this is pre-pure devotee era. They are struggling. How come you are not accepting me as your equal? This, that, let us fight. So much mess, so much hangama, even between great sages. So there was this quarrel, which is being mentioned for Harishchandra. There was a particular yajna. So Srila Prabhupada explains that Vishwamitra, of course, his background is that of a Kshatriya, eventually wanted to become a Brahmana. Vashishta was one of the main persons who was not willing to accept Vishwamitra as a Brahmana. Now, this is a very interesting thing, because traditionally, or 99.999%, in the traditional Varnashram system, one is born with a particular body. When we talk about body, we are talking about genetics also. There's a particular psychophysical nature that one is born, because one comes from a particular father and mother. So a certain nature, certain modes are typically inherent in a body. So usually, unless it is exceptional situation, one doesn't give up the varna that one is born in. There are situations there where certain individuals have been born in a particular family, but by guna and karma, they showed themselves to be of a different nature. And there have been exceptions, but those exceptions are rare. When Vishwamitra wanted to become a Brahmana, Vashishta strongly resisted. He was not willing to recognize him as a Brahmana. And that's where the whole conflict actually started. There's a reason why he wanted to become Brahmana. That's a different story. I can share that story, but we don't have time now. It's a very interesting story. Because Vishwamitra was driven by ego, not with a desire for spiritual advance. So Vashishta was not very happy for the motivation of why Vishwamitra wanted to. Anyway, so that conflict continued for quite some time until Vishwamitra advanced to such a level that Vashishta said, yeah, now he is actually displaying proper saintly qualities. He has achieved a level of realization that I can actually respect him as a sage of equal level. But that happened in due course. You all know Vishwamitra went through a lot of rough phases. He fell down because of which famous Apsara? Anyone remembers? Vishwamitra is famous for his downfall.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Menka.
Yeah, Menaka, correct. So their daughter married Maharaj Bharat. Dushyanta, son of Bharat, Dushyanta and Shakuntala. So that's another very, very famous pastime. So that time Vishwamitra wasn't at the topmost level of his spiritual attainment. Then he continued to struggle. He fell down, he improved himself. First he fell down to anger, then he fell down to lust, continued to purify for thousands and thousands of years. Eventually, Vashishta saw that Vishwamitra is displaying the quality of forgiveness, Prabhupada says. And at that particular point, I do not know what episode that is, but at that particular point, Vashishta started accepting Vishwamitra as a Brahmana. So anyway, it so happened after he got recognized as a Brahmana, then he would also participate in performance of yajnas. So there was a very famous yajna which Maharaj Harishchandra was doing, and he had called the greatest of sages to perform that yajna. So in that yajna, Vashishta was there, Vishwamitra was there, the very famous Brahman realized sage Jamadagni was there, and so many other sages were there. So there was some episode which is not elaborated here where Vishwamitra claimed all wealth of Harishchandra as his dakshina, and he took all of Maharaj Harishchandra's wealth and went away. I do not know the details of that particular plot, but Vashishta was very furious that Vishwamitra did like that, and both of them were quarreling. How dare you do like this to Harishchandra? You're not supposed to be taking this. And Vishwamitra was defending, no, this technical reasons. I can claim all this wealth. The fighting between both of them became so severe that one of them cursed the other person. That I curse you to become a bird. The other person was so shocked. He said, I curse you to become a duck. Both of them became birds. So both of their curses worked on each other. Mutually assured destruction. Not only that, not only did they both curse each other to become birds, the Bhagavatam says, even after becoming birds, they didn't stop fighting. They were, jumping at each other as birds and fighting. For many years, they were fighting like this for Harishchandra. It's not mentioned what Harishchandra was doing as all this was going on. Harishchandra is especially famous as a very, very truthful king. It's a very, very beautiful story of Maharaj Harishchandra. We don't have time to discuss it. That's not the main topic of this particular chapter. It's a very, very beautiful story. And we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of this chapter because something is mentioned about Harishchandra a little later. We'll come back to that. So, Prabhupada especially makes this comment, that this is the power of material nature. This Maya made of the three modes of material nature is very, very difficult to overcome. You can see even great souls. But as against this, if you see the Goswamis of Vrindavan, you see Haridas Thakur, you see Lord Chaitanya's behavior, how they are like totally disinterested in money, in recognition, in fame, no ego. This ego, this sense of puja, la, pratishtha, my reputation, my name, who I am so great spiritually, is also ego. That's also an ego which is very difficult. Even for those who have achieved great tapasya and great knowledge, even for them it is very difficult to overcome this ego, this very fine ego of puja, la, pratishtha, especially of pratishtha. That sense of I am somebody great, I am somebody important, keeps one anchored to the material platform. A pure devotee fully offers himself, everything to the Lord. मानस देह गेहो जो किछु मोर अर्पिलु तु आपदे नंद किशोर. They are not even concerned about their name and fame. Bhishma, just to please the Lord, he was willing to be on the side of the Kauravas. He was not thinking, I am going to become Badnam. Why Krishna is giving me a service that I am going to be Badnam? Very few people will know my real nature, but most. Krishna wants this, I will do this. End of story. Vritrasur was cursed to become a demon. Okay? Oh Lord, whatever you want. If you have planned this for me, must be good. Just let me not forget you. He achieved perfection. So these are wonderful lessons for all of us. So this episode is particularly mentioned in connection with Harishchandra. Then another episode is mentioned, a very interesting episode about Maharaj Harishchandra. A very, very interesting life he has. He went through, he's one of those personalities who has been so thoroughly tested. All that is not described in this chapter. But the kind of challenges he went through in his life, if you get time, you should read about the story. Maharaj Harishchandra, I don't know how many of you know, the first ever movie made in India was Maharaj Harishchandra, on the story of this Maharaj Harishchandra. The first ever Hindi movie, if it was any movie in India at that time, made by Indians, Maharaj Harishchandra. I don't know whether you have seen it. I have seen it, not now, seen it when I was very young. Very interesting. So one of the things was Maharaj Harishchandra had no son and he was very morose. For kings, when they have no son, they are very morose because they want to, one of their chief duties is to have an heir to inherit the kingdom. So he once asked Narad Muni what I should do, and on the advice of Narad Muni said, you go and pray to the demigod Varuna. And he went and prayed to Varuna and he said, oh Varun Dev, I have no son. Can you please bless me with a son? Now when you go to Devatas, it's all yajna, it is transactional. Devatas cannot just produce something and give you just because you asked for it. It's not that you can fill a form and say I want this and Devatas will give. Yajna, paraspara bhavayantam. There's a system. You perform certain rituals, you perform certain yajnas for propitiating the deities, and in return the Devata will bless you. It's a give and take. It's the transaction of yajna. You sacrifice something and he gives you something in return. You nourish him, he nourishes you. So there was a understanding between Harishchandra and Varuna. Now Harishchandra told Varuna a proposition that if a son is born to me, I will offer that son to you in sacrifice for your satisfaction. Varuna said, okay, no problem. I will give you the son, but you will offer him to me. So it's okay. So by Varuna's benediction, Harishchandra got a son by the name Rohit. That is something very interesting. Now somehow Harishchandra convinced Varuna to give him a son. Now when a son was actually born, now Harishchandra is thinking, Arey, but I'm supposed to sacrifice this son to Varuna in a yajna. Sacrifice means actually a human sacrifice. So he's thinking what to do. So as soon as the son was born, Varuna appeared to him. Ding ding, knock knock. Harishchandra, you're supposed to give your son to me. When are you performing the sacrifice to offer your son? Harishchandra said, Harishchandra was very attached to the son because he wanted a son. Somehow he had convinced him to give a son. Oh, yeah, he's just born. No, just give 10 days. After 10 days, according to the Vedas, after 10 days only, a sacrificial animal is suitable to be offered in sacrifice, 10 days after birth. Since I'm going to offer my son, give me 10 days. Varuna says, okay, I'll come back after 10 days. After 10 days, knock, knock, knock. Harishchandra, give me your son. Now you can perform the sacrifice. Harishchandra says, actually, I found one quote in the scriptures that only when an animal grows his teeth, then he will become pure to be offered in sacrifice. So wait for the baby to develop some teeth. Varuna says, oh, is it? Okay, okay, okay. After the teeth appeared, Varuna comes again, knock, knock, knock. Harishchandra, what happened to the yajna? Oh, actually, the teeth have already grown a bit now. It's a bit late. Now you come when all the teeth have fallen. Then he will be suitable for sacrifice. Huh? Is it? Okay. So Varuna was tolerating him for a while. This went on. After the teeth had fallen, the milk teeth that is, Varuna returns back and says to Harishchandra that the teeth of the animal have fallen. Now you can perform sacrifice. No, no, I want the new teeth to come. How to give you an offering like this without teeth? Let the new teeth come, then he'll be pure to be sacrificed. Again he sent Varun back. When the teeth grew again, Varuna comes back, knock, knock. When is the yajna? Actually, I think the right time to offer him as a sacrifice is when this boy grows up and becomes a kshatriya. Then I will offer to him a kshatriya who can fight. Then he will be pure enough. So Harishchandra was just avoiding. Iti putra anuragena sneha yantrita chetasa. Putra anurag. He was so attached to his son. Sneha yantrita chetasa. His mind being controlled by affection. So Varuna continued to wait and wait and wait very patiently. Rohit grew up. He came to know the story, how he was born, what is the vow that his father had given, and he was thinking, my God, I am to be sacrificed. And my father is somehow avoiding sacrificing me, and he realized that I have to somehow save myself. So to save himself, he took bow and arrow and he ran away into the forest to save himself from being offered in sacrifice. Varuna came, knock, knock. Where is the, oh, my boy, I don't know where he went. He ran away. How to sacrifice him now? He ran away. So Varun was so upset with Harishchandra that he had not kept his word, that Varunadev punished him with a disease known as dropsy. Dropsy is a disease which affects the abdomen. I think it swells the abdomen, something like that. His abdomen became very huge. So when that particular thing happened, Rohit came to know, the son came to know that this had happened to his father and he wanted to go back to the kingdom. But Indra came and told Rohit, no, don't go. It will be a big mess. Just wait. So Indra told him, you go and stay in the forest, remain in the forest until that point, at least for a year, you go and visit various holy places. So Rohit said, okay, he followed whatever Indra said. And for 1 year, he went around touring various holy places. So after 1 year, he was about to go to the kingdom. Again, Indra came and said, no, not yet, not yet. His father is suffering. Harishchandra is suffering with this disease of dropsy. First year ended, second year ended, third year ended. Still Indra was saying, don't go, don't go. Fourth year ended, fifth year ended. So after 5 years had ended, again Indra came to him in the form of an old man and told him, don't go back. But finally, in the 6th year, Rohit returned to the capital of his father. But at that time, he did something smart. He knew if he had to save his father from the disease because of the wrath of Varuna, then his father had to fulfill his promise. At the same point, Rohit wanted to save his own life. So what Rohit did was, there was another personality known as Ajigartha, whose second son, named as Sunakshepa, they said Rohit purchased this son, second son, by paying a price to Ajigartha. And this son, Sunakshepa, he presented to his father Harishchandra and said, to please Varuna, instead of offering me, you offer this son, Sunakshepa. and Sunakshepa was offered in sacrifice to Varuna, and in that way, Rohit's life was saved, and also Harishchandra was saved from that particular disease. So this was an interesting episode in the life of Harishchandra. Harishchandra performed many sacrifices, many grand sacrifices, and he pleased all the devatas. Huh? And of course, he was cured of this disease as well. So in that particular sacrifice where Sunakshepa was actually sacrificed, it is said Vishwamitra was the chief hota. So when a yajna is performed, there are four kinds of priests which participate in any yajna. There are four roles to be performed. There is a hota who offers the actual offerings into the fire or offering oblations. Advaryu is the one who recites Vedas from the Yajur Veda. And Samaga, the Samaga are those who are reciting the verses from the Sama Veda. So there are certain, the yajna is going on, certain uh, chants have to be uttered from the Sama Veda, and Brahma, the chief Brahmana who oversees everything, makes sure that all others are performing their job and he oversees. He is the overall director of the yajna and overall quality control of the yajna. That position is known as Brahma. So Brahma, Samaga, Advaryu, and Hota. So Vishwamitra was personally the Hota. Jamadagni, the father of Parshuram, who is a perfectly self-realized soul, he was the Advaryu, the one who was reciting hymns from Yajurveda. Vashishta was the Brahmana, the main Brahma, and the sage Ayasya was reciting verses from the Samaveda. So looks like at this particular yajna, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, all good, all settled. We are good friends again. So Indra was finally also very pleased, it is said, with this particular yajna. And Sunakshepa was offered to Varuna. Sukadeva Goswami says the glories of Sunakshepa will be discussed later. When I discuss the glories of the son of Vishwamitra, at that time I will discuss the glories of this boy Sunakshepa, the son of Ajigartha, who volunteered to be sacrificed instead of Rohit, gave up his own life to save Rohit. So that story, the backstory, will be discussed separately, is what Sukadeva Goswami said. So at the end of this yajna, Rohit was saved, Harishchandra was saved from the disease, and Indra was also pleased, Varuna was also pleased. Indra offered a beautiful golden chariot to Maharaj Harishchandra. So Harishchandra was not only very materially successful eventually in his own life and performed a lot of rituals. He was Harishchandra was not only great himself, but his wife was also extremely chaste and devoted. He was very truthful, forbearing, and always interested in knowing the truth. He was very pakka about speaking truth. Eventually, Vishwamitra, when he saw the great character and the great determination of Harishchandra to remain truthful, eventually Maharaj Vishwamitra instructed Maharaj Harishchandra in spiritual knowledge. Because truth at the material platform is also illusion. What is the real truth? Naham Vipro Nacha Narapati. Lord Chaitanya says, right? I am not a Brahmana, nor am I a Kshatriya, nor a Vaishya, nor a Shudra. I am neither a sannyasi, nor a Vanaprastha, nor a Grahastha, nor a Brahmachari. Who am I? In all situations, at all times, and all places, my real identity is Gopi Bhartur Kamalayor Das Das. I am an eternal servant of the servant of Krishna. I am a spirit soul. I am not the body. So a true adherent of truth, it is not sufficient to be truthful at the material platform, because material platform, nothing is truth. Nasate vidyato bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Our material identity itself is not truth. It is illusion, because it is temporary. Na asato vidyate bhavo, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. Na abhavo vidyate satah. For that which is eternal, there is no cessation. And for that which is asat, there is no endurance. It's basically, the truth never changes, and that which is untruth is ever changing. So the ultimate transcendental knowledge, avihatam gatim, imperishable knowledge. Prita dadau. Vishwamitra, Brisham Prita. Brisham Prita is so happy with Harishchandra that he instructed him in spiritual knowledge by seeing his exalted character. So when Harishchandra was so ripe in terms of his character and his qualities, that when he actually received transcendental knowledge, his mind, which was still attached to the material concept, he purified his mind, withdrew it from all material attachment by understanding the real truth. The real truth is going beyond dharma, artha, kama. One has to be liberated from all material association. He said he withdrew his consciousness from matter and focused it fully into transcendental realization, understanding one's spiritual nature to be identical to that of the Supreme Lord. And in that way, by perfectly engaging in the meditation on the Supreme Lord in devotional service, he attained complete freedom from material bondage. So Maharaj Harishchandra attained the perfection of his life. He was initially a very great king and a very religious and truthful king, but eventually to get liberated, he had to go higher than the platform of simply religiosity and come to the transcendental platform of realizing his spiritual identity. It is not enough to be perfectly religious or very, very good person materially to be liberated. That will give one punya, but that will never liberate one from the association of the gunas. Gunas are so sticky. Listen to the word sticky. Vasishtha and Vishwamitra were struggling. They were fighting with each other. But the gunas are so sticky, even with so much of tapasya, Vedic study, yajnas, Brahmanical wisdom. One may still struggle to remove the last drops of the stickiness that the false ego has, and the modes of Raja and Tama may still have in one's consciousness. That's why Krishna says, if you want to transcend the modes of material nature, one should fully take shelter of the process of devotional service. Anyone remembers that verse? Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, last verse. You can quote. No one? From memory, yeah? Because any one of you can open and read and tell. Yo mam avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati taityana brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Avyabhicharini bhakti. Avyabhicharini means that bhakti which is not mixed with nonsense, which is not deviant from pure devotion. Avyabhicharini. Vyabhichar means bad behavior. What is bad behavior? Anything which deviates from the standard of pure devotion is bad behavior. Sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. To attain the transcendental platform, bhakti is the only way of completely removing the influence of the modes. So that brings us to the conclusion of this chapter. All glories to Maharaj Harishchandra and all these great sages, Maharaj Mandhata, Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Virendra Ram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, very, very nice lecture. Just a thought came across my mind, if you allow me to share that. So, like, I was thinking that Srila Prabhupada has made this process so easily available to us that sometimes we take this for granted. As we were hearing the Katha today, even great sages, they have to go through so many austerities. And even the time period, I think Vishwamitra did the tapasya for, I think, 10,000 years or 60,000 years, something, I forgot. They have to go through that long, lengthy process and everything, and still they do not get that perfect knowledge. And I was thinking that how much Srila Prabhupada has filtered everything for us and then just gave us the absolute process that, you just do, chanting, pray to the deity and, offer bhoga, everything. And it's so easy. It's very practical thing to do as well. And sometimes we take all those things for granted.
Yes, bro. Thank you. Yeah, that is very true. In previous yugas, even though bhakti is always equally effective, previous yugas, Prabhupada says that they felt like this is too simple. It's too simple to do. Yes, bhakti is simple from a perspective of external execution, but when it comes to dissolving one's false ego, you can clearly see that it wasn't something which even Vishwamitra and Vasishtha were always able to do until they came really to higher stages. So that's why the greatest good fortune is not just about knowing spiritual knowledge and knowing the Vedas. The greatest good fortune is to get the association of pure devotees. And in that association, be trained and guided to come to that kind of a consciousness. So that's our great good fortune. The Srila Prabhupada was very has created that good fortune for all of us and given us all that opportunity. Very true. Thank you. Any other question or comments? Okay. So if nothing, we will continue on Tuesday, our Chaitanya Pravaha series. So thank you so much. So tomorrow is Ekadashi. So fasting for Ekadashi. And I'll see you all on Tuesday. Thank you very much. Canto Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Siddha Prabhu, thank you. Suraj, Shalini Mataji, Snehaji, Sridhar Prabhu, Archana Mataji, Amit, Priya, Dipali, and Xiaomi. Who's in Xiaomi? Not sure.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.